So we're going to talk a little bit about the abs here, and I'm going to give you an exercise that's really useful to test how strong you are in the abs, but also talk through how people can kind of do this like completely wrong and just bring in hip flexors. So it's a leg raise, but it's a leg raise that's really trying to focus on the abdominals, and it's really to try and train you to teach you how to identify that, yes, I'm working the abdominals here, and yes, I have these flexed. Okay, so when we're down here on the floor, first thing we want to do is press our lower back into the floor, okay? So you have to have your lower back pressed into the floor. If you don't have it pressed into the floor and you're rounded, you're bringing in your hip flexors. Okay, so this is the movement, pressing my lower back into the floor. From there, I can get my chest up a little bit higher. So if I can get my chest up off the floor here, I'm strong enough to do this movement. If you can't get your chest up off the floor, this movement is probably too tough for you. Okay, so if you can press your lower back into the floor and if you can get your chest up off the floor, you're strong enough. From there then, bend up the knees, straighten out the legs, lower down the legs. Again, we have to keep our lower back pressed in against the floor. We gotta keep our chest up off the floor. The lower my legs go, as I keep my chest up off the floor, the more I'm bringing in my abs. You can relax then at the bottom. Go again. Get set, chest up, press that lower back in. So here I'm squeezing my abs. I'm closing the gap between my rib cage and my hips. So they're fully flexed. Now all I'm doing is adding a bit more resistance by lowering my legs. There's more resistance, more resistance. If my lower back rounds like this, now my abs have been turned off, okay, or deactivated, and they're in a longer position. And I can actually feel my tummy is soft here. And now this is all my hips. So this is a lot of my hip flexors that are working here. Okay, so if you're doing this movement where you're doing a leg raise and your back is rounding here like this, or if you feel pressure in your lower back, which I do if I stay in this position, you're doing it wrong and you're not targeting your abs. So again, you want to close the gap between the rib cage and the hips. Squeeze tight. Keep the shoulders up as high as you can. From here, legs up, lower, lower, lower. If your back rounds here, drop the legs. Reset, up again, chest up, legs up, lower, 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 lower. If your back rounds here, drop, reset, go again. And eventually you'll be able to get all the way down with your chest up and your lower back pressed into the ground, and you'll be able to even come back up the same way. All right, so that's a really, really good ab exercise. See how low you can get down without losing that pressure in your lower back, and that'll give you a good idea as to how strong your abs are.